I am not his conquest. I am not his to claim. I am my own castle.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Beyond the Pages with Sarah and Savannah. Today we are going to be talking about book 2 of the Artefacts of Ouranos series, which is called Rule of the Aurora King by Nisha J. Tooley. So we did the first book a couple months ago, and we had meant to have this episode out before our last episode, but we didn't get around to recording it, and so here we are now. This is going to be released probably middle of April-ish.
Yeah, seems like a running theme with us. So we're always behind.
Yeah, we do still intend to do book 3 and 4 of this series. I have finished book 3, so I will try and not spoil anything for Savannah, for one, who hasn't finished it yet.
No, I'm about 2/3 the way through, so I'm almost done of it.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure you told me when you got back from your trip in March, you said that you were already I asked you if you'd finished book 2, and you said, or I think I asked you, are you done Rule of the Aurora King? And you said, is that book 2 or 3? And I said, it's book 2. And she said, well, I'm halfway through book 3. And I hadn't even started book 3 yet. And now I'm finished it and she's not. So
honestly, this sounds like me. Like, I'm the type of person where I start a project, and when I get close to the end, I kind of don't finish it. I have to kind of force myself to, because I get really sad that it's ending.
I also had a week off from work between jobs, so I had a week where I could just listen to this book and finish it.
You said it was, what, 15 hours?
It was 15 and a half hours, and on Monday I had 6 hours still left.
Okay.
So I got it finished this week. It was really good. The ending is quite a twist. But we're going to go back to book 2, Rule of the Aurora King. So
with this book, you can't see this, but Sarah can, that my tabs are getting less and less. Even looking at the third book over there, like, I think I have 4 or 5 tabs in that book, and I have like maybe 2
15,
dozen.
20?
Yeah. That being said, there's a lot less happening quickly and a lot more
filling in the blanks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the questions that I had after the first book were answered in this book, and even more are answered in the third book. But, like I said, we're going to focus on the second book today, and I'm going to keep having to remind myself that we're only talking about the second book. So, after the last episode, my mom told me that she listened to all of our episodes, and she made the point that I had said my questions, but you, Savannah, had never told the listeners any questions that you had. So
honestly, I don't think I had that many questions. I just kind of enjoyed the first book, because, like, if you read any type of fantasy book, the first book is always full of questions.
Yes.
Right? So it's kind of like, what was the book about, and what can we expect in the next one?
Yes, absolutely. So, like I said, there were a lot of the questions that I had explained and answered in this book, including who Laura actually is and how much she knows about her history.
Sorry, I breathed in the wrong way. Okay, so I guess I kind of wrote my notes in, like, the tab version. I wrote, like, some of my tabs out. My first tab is at the very beginning of this book, and it was Laura trying to release her power. So at the end of the last book, we realized that she got rescued, per se, again.
Kidnapped again.
Excuse me. And now she's in this house with Nadir and his sister and one of his best friends,
Anya and Mael.
And so she's on her bed. She's trying to release her power. And I understand that she has great power. What I don't understand is why she can't access it. Did something else happen when she locked it away that she can't remember? Does she need something magical to help unlock it? Like,
we do kind of get the answers to that throughout this book, and to some extent. So, like,
to some extent, there's still some questions around it because
even at the end of this book, she has not fully broken through what she refers to as the door that's blocking her powers. And I think a lot of the reason she hasn't been able to get to her power is because of the trauma that she experienced at the hands of the Aurora King. He tortured her, trying to get her to use her magic. And
so you think this is more of just like a mental block?
I think at least partly. We are also introduced through this book to, or not introduced, but we're shown what happened with the last Heart Queen. And I think it's told to us at one point that all of the magic was gone for a short time. And still, the magic of heart is still gone. So it's kind of like, is it gone? Is Laura's magic still locked away because of what her grandmother did?
But her mother had the power.
I don't think it ever actually says that her mother had power. Her sister, we do see Willow and Tristan use heart magic.
She did explain to Nadir that her mom had power, but it never explained what kind of power.
Yes.
But she did say that her mom had a lot of power.
Yes, and like, I think you kind of hinted at something that is revealed in the third book there.
Okay.
Because Lore and Willow and Tristan are descendants from more than one kingdom. They're descendants of Heart and the Woodlands. So
yes.
there is...
Well, you kind of get that in here because...
You do find out that Circe, the last...
Her name's Circe?
Circe.
I've been calling her Cersei.
Circe is how they were pronouncing it in the book. I would tend to probably say Cersei as well, just from mythology and stuff like that. But she had a mate, which is apparently a very rare bond in this world. And her mate was the king of the Woodlands, whose name was Wolf.
Yeah.
So, their whole story was trying to get their power, like get Circe's power, make her the queen, the sun queen, or the heart queen. So it's how did they get to that point?
Yeah, that is the whole basis of half of this book is the story of Circe and the Wolf King. The Wolf King.
Wolf, the Woodland King. Wolf, the Woodland King.
Yes, Wolf, the Woodland King.
Yeah. So we're also eventually for most of the book, or for the first part of the book, Lore is the prisoner of Nadir in this house, and he wants to know what the Sun Mirror told her at the end of the last book. And she is outright refusing to answer him. She refuses to call him Your Highness until it becomes interesting.
Yeah. Their relationship really blossomed in this one. It was nice to read in Nadir's point of view.
Yes.
In order to really understand, like, where he was coming from and not just Lore. Yeah.
There are some scenes where you see the same scene from both point of views.
Yeah.
And it's really quite interesting. Particularly the spicy scenes.
Yes.
So Lore decides in order for her to divulge what she can or what she chooses to, she needs something from Nadir. And that is for her brother and sister to be out of Nostraza.
Yeah.
And which he does manage to do. We don't know how exactly. Even by the end of book 3, we don't know how he managed to get them out.
No, it wasn't really explained.
They're out. And we do find out that yes, Tristan and Willow are Lore's biological siblings, and they are the descendants of the last Sun or Heart Queen. I keep wanting to say Sun Queen because that was the first book, but they are the descendants of the last Heart Queen.
Yep.
Through their mother, who was the baby born to Circe, who everyone believed died.
Yeah. And this is where we also learn that they too have magic because
Yes.
Lore kind of, explains it to Nadir.
Yes.
Another question that I had regarding this scenario is it explains that the first child may not be the primary. So if the first child isn't the primary and you have another child and that's still not the primary, how do you know? Like, how does Zira know that she is going to have 3 children? Like,
Well,
why is Lore the primary? She's the third child.
I think it's kind of magic-y wonderfulness, but like we do find out about Nadir's origins a little bit in this book, and it talks about how the Aurora King had a fling with his mother. She got pregnant, but he was in love with somebody else, and the Aurora Torch was like, no, she's pregnant with the primary,
Yeah.
so you can't get rid of her.
Yeah.
So it's the artifacts and the magic, I guess, choose the
Yeah.
primary.
It's more like just like a side thought, I guess, because I'm like, what if Lore was never born? Would it be somebody else? Because
I suppose theoretically, yeah. I mean, it would probably be Tristan because he has much more magic than Willow, though they're, like I said, they're descendants of 2 different kingdoms. So there's some interestingness in that as well.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Tristan and Willow's stories play out because it's not a whole lot in this book. I do know that we go into a little bit more in the 3rd book. But I believe that their side characters are more important than what it's turning out to be.
Absolutely.
Or it could be that this really could have been a good side story for the author to really dive into in order to fill in a little bit of that information that was maybe not necessarily needed.
Yeah, and like quite a bit of this book talks about Ryan and or not Ryan, Nadir and Amia, why they hate their father, who is Ryan, and it has to do with their mother and how horribly their fathers treated her
Yeah.
for most of at least Nadir's existence and Amia's entire life. So it's quite interesting to see that and to get the answer as to why Ryan doesn't trust his son.
Yeah. In this book, it jumped a lot from 286 years ago to the present, giving us information of the past. I found it a little bit difficult to keep switching between the past and the present because it was basically 2 different stories,
Absolutely,
2 different books.
it was.
And it was hard to like think and feel about the different characters and also to remember all the different names and rulers and who's who and
Yeah.
who's where. But it does give us more information. That being said, I feel like the writer could have put those stories into maybe some flashbacks when it comes to Lore and the artifacts.
I kind of liked it. I liked how these little vignettes of the past were interspersed with the main story. It gave a little bit more information as to the motivation of the characters and what was missing from the characters in the present. And
I liked it. I just think it could have been written a little bit more towards staying with the main story and not having two different stories going at the same time.
Fair, fair.
Yeah.
So,
I have a question. What do you think Ryan actually wants with Lore?
I think I felt this way during the first book as well. I think he wants her power.
But if she's so powerful, does he really think that he can control her?
No. I think he wants to try and do what he did to her when she was young and try and break her to the point where she is only receptive to his, like, he will have control of her power if he breaks her. But I don't think she will ever break.
I don't think she'll break either, especially because we do have that past and we do get to know Circe and know that she was very strong-willed.
Yes.
Like, nothing was going to get in her way. She was going to accomplish what she wanted to do.
Yeah, and there's also kind of with that, with what does Ryan want with her? What does Atlas want with her? And we're introduced to Atlas at a much younger age as well during those flashbacks. He is the same age as Circe, and he is supposed to bond with her. At least that's the alliance that his father, who is the Sun King at the time, and Circe's mother, who is the Heart Queen at the time, come to an agreement so that they can defeat Ryan.
I mean, we kind of learn a little bit about what he wants at the end of this book. It does go into a little bit about how the primaries work. And we learn that Atlas is not the primary.
Yes.
It is his older brother.
Yes.
But as time goes on, obviously his father dies and Tyr, is it Tyr? I've been calling him Tyr. He becomes
the king.
The king, but
what happened?
Not the king.
What happened to Tyr is the question that we're left with, kind of, or at least one of the questions I'm left with at the end of the second book. It is revealed in the third book, which is called Fate of the Sun King.
But Atlas must still have some immense power.
Yeah, he has significant power. And I think he thinks that by bonding with Lore, who he believes is important, how he finds out that she is the primary of Heart, we don't find out in the second book. We do find out in the third book. But he knows that she is the primary of Heart, or at least believes it, and he thinks that by bonding with Lore, he will be all-powerful.
Yeah.
And he can destroy his brother.
But we learned that in the past, you need to join the artifacts as well as the primaries. So they're two separate things that need to happen.
Yeah.
So you need to be the king. So we learned that Nadir and Lore are mates. Absolutely.
We don't absolutely know that.
No, you absolutely know within like the first like couple of chapters. You don't even have to guess it.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that they are obviously the love interests of this story, and one of the love interests apparently of this story.
So if that's the case, then somehow, some way, Nadir must become king in order to claim the artifact, in order to bond with the artifact and Lore to become what Circe and King wanted.
Wanted.
Oh my gosh, what did I call him?
Just King.
King.
So yeah, there's the bonding between Circe and Wolf was what caused the destruction of Heart, because it went wrong somehow. And so they need to figure
how it went wrong.
We know how it went wrong, but by the time you read the third book, you know how it went wrong. But they need to figure out a way for two primaries to bond, because that's not how nature is supposed to work.
Yeah.
But it is because they're mates and that's fate and whatever.
Yeah. So with this second book, it was very informational. A lot really, really didn't happen, but it answered a lot of the questions that we had and the questions that might come up in the future. Like, it was a little bit of foreshadowing as well as past information that kind of
Yeah.
cleared a lot of things up. Because I know going into the third book, it kind of shifts gears a little bit.
Yeah, it becomes, I think, even like at the end of the second book, it's definitely gotten to a point where it's like we're going to war essentially.
Essentially.
We just need to figure out how. And we need to figure out who's going to support us. So that's something that Lore and Nadir specifically, but also Tristan and Willow and Mael and Amya and Hyleen, who is also another Aurora individual, how they need to figure out how they are going to get Heart back for Lore.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any like questions or concerns that we haven't answered?
So there's mention in this book about the Arc de Coeur. It's also referred to, I believe, as the Heart Arc or Arc of Heart. Arc de Coeur
Yeah.
translates Arc of Heart.
It's mentioned, but it really doesn't go into a lot of detail.
Yeah, it's the priestess who is supposed to, in the past, the priestess who is supposed to be doing the bonding between Wolf and Circe wants that as her payment for doing the bonding. But we also find out in the present that Orion is looking for it. Lore flirts with a noble and finds out that he's been ordered to try and find this. We don't know what it is, but it's obviously something important to Heart.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I don't know where my thought is going with this one. There's just not enough information in the second book to really make a comment on it because it's just kind of mentioned in passing a couple times.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, okay, so here's a big question mark to add to my book because nothing is really explained as to what it's for and what we're doing with it.
Yeah, we just know that it's
The most
important
thing,
to certain people.
Yeah, what we're looking for right now is a crown.
Yes.
So, which was found in this book. Kind of oddly found.
Yeah, it was hidden, locked away in the Heart Castle, the destroyed Heart Castle.
And it was an artifact that Lore could feel, but couldn't
Communicate with.
communicate with. And she had a hard time, like, getting the artifact.
Yes. So, like, we know that she has communicated with the mirror, the sun mirror, in the first book. And in this book, she also holds and communicates with the Aurora torch. So it's like, why are the other artifacts speaking to her, but not her artifact?
Yeah. The question that they have in the book is, how can you communicate with them?
Yeah, exactly. So, because it's believed that an artifact will only communicate with its monarch, king or queen, and the primary.
Yeah.
But
I have a theory.
Lore has spoken to two already.
I have a theory that Lore is somehow, some way, a descendant of Zira.
Okay.
Like, I think the Heart Queen is essentially the middleman of all of the other peoples, you know what I mean? Like, she's the center.
Okay.
Without her, everything goes to shit.
Okay. That's a interesting thought.
You don't think?
I'm trying not to say anything because there is the third book and
Okay,
I've read the
okay.
third book and there are answers to that in the third book. So I'm trying not to say too much.
Okay, interesting. This gives me a lot more to think about.
Yes. Yeah. The third book also has flashbacks to another time in history, similar to the second book, but it's a different time in history.
Right.
So I will leave that at that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's fun to think about how writers kind of come up with these theories. Like,
yeah.
they must just sit there and think about how to twist a story 15 ways
Yeah.
in order to make the reader really jump through some hoops to
Yeah.
really understand which path we're going.
Yeah. One of the things that's kind of interesting and also kind of goes to the absolutely Lore and Nadir are mates. The only times Lore is actually able to use her magic in this book is either with Nadir's help
Yeah.
or in an act of saving Nadir.
Yeah.
Because at the end of, not near the end of the book, not at the actual end of the book yet, Lore and Nadir are at the Heart Castle. They have recovered the Heart Crown, which Lore needed Nadir's help to get, but Ryan shows up with some of his men, and Ryan tries to kill Nadir, and Lore's magic bursts out of her and traps Ryan and his men in a lightning force bubble thing.
Yeah, which kind of goes back to the fact that you're right, it's probably a lot of mental, which is why she can't reach her full potential for her magic. It just still doesn't make sense why, with Nadir's help and her own help, she, like, when she was a child, she could go back and forth with her magic. Mm-hmm. And right now, one of her magic is essentially shape-shifting. She can become a human instead of a fae.
One of the magics of Heart is the ability to shift between a human form and a fae form, which is why she looks like a human and why she has a human lifespan in the first book. Willow and Tristan are able to shift back to their fae form or after they've been released from Nestraza, but Lore can't. And we don't know why she can't.
Yeah, which makes me think that there's something missing here that we just don't know. Because, again, when we were talking about the first book and how she might be just suppressing some of her memories, maybe it's still happening.
Well, I don't think... I no longer think she was suppressing her memories. She was actively not telling people the truth.
Yeah.
Was what it was. Because she knew at least some of her personal history.
Yeah.
She didn't know exactly what happened in Heart, during the destruction, because her mother was an infant and there was no one to tell her mother the whole truth. So there are some things that Lore and Tristan and Willow don't know about their past, but there are definitely things that they do know. And they actively were not telling anybody that they are from Heart, that they are the descendants of the last Heart Queen, that Lore is the primary.
I think when it comes down to it, if it's Lore's mental block that is stopping her magic, I think I might be mad about it.
Fair enough.
Because that is the weakest thing you could possibly do in order to trap your magic.
For the longest time through the second and even partway through the third book, I was like, okay, because they're mates, or we believe they are mates, I was like, maybe they just need to go at it.
Yeah.
And have sex. Was kind of what I was like, just sleep with each other, and maybe that will unblock her magic. That is not the case, but...
Which was kind of irritating, because I think based off of other books that we've read, that is exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah, the mates need to accept each other.
And now that, they have sort of accepted each other, it's kind of like, okay, now what?
Well, they do and they don't accept... Well, Nadir is like, no, she's mine. Absolutely, she's mine.
And she's like, no, I'm not.
And she's like, no, I'm not his property. What was the quote? I'm not his.
I'm not his conquest. I am not his to claim. I am my own castle.
Exactly. She's her own person. She doesn't need no man.
She don't need no man.
But apparently she does.
Yeah.
At least she needs to at least be like defending her man.
Like, just like
to use her magic.
Accept him somewhat. Like, don't hate him fully.
Yeah.
You know, put him in the doghouse every now and then, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, any final last thoughts on this book?
No, I think
when it comes to a second book, I think this was fairly well done.
Yes, it was definitely very well. I thought it was very well written. The narrators, because I listened to the audiobook, the narrators are really great.
The narrators in my head is really great too.
I'm not so happy with they add a third narrator in the third book. And I don't like his voice.
Oh.
But the other two, like the two that we've heard in the first two books, I do enjoy their voices. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I am interested in seeing how the third book goes because this was a good transition into what's next. It really gave us a lot of insight for the second book. It answered a lot of questions in the first book. Yeah. It was a lot slower.
Yes.
Because the first book had a lot jam-packed into it, especially with the trials.
Yeah. And this was a lot more exposition and trying to figure out what needs to happen for the rest of the series.
Exactly. So the next two books, I anticipate that it will be a lot more happening.
Yeah.
But we shall have to wait and see, I guess.
Yes, hopefully we will have the next book or the next episode out sometime in May. That is our intention at this point.
Yes, yeah. We'll get this one out very soon. Hopefully, within the next week or so. Although at this point, it's been a week before this is even airing, so that does make sense. Yeah. Yeah. But hopefully we'll get the third one out very soon after this one.
Yes.
I hope you're enjoying listening to it, and I hope you're reading along.
Yeah.
Or if you're not, I hope by the time you do read these books that you enjoy them just as much as we are.
Yeah, they're definitely amazing. And you can definitely, I think, tell a little bit about the author through the cultural aspects of this book where she's pulled from different cultures.
Which is really nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to have the different cultures. As well, if you haven't listened to our last episode, please go and do so and please share. Our last episode was a book written by an island author,
Caitlin Paxson.
And it was released on March 31st. And it was just so
sweet.
Sweet, so exciting, so interesting to meet the author of one of the books that we got to read. We got to read it ahead of
the release,
ahead of the release, which was absolutely amazing. And it was nice to really put her personality into the book. Like, after I read the book and then I met her, I was like, 100%, this is 100% Caitlin. Like, it was so nice. And you can buy her book anywhere you buy books.
It's called A Widow's Charm. Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely amazing. Definitely check it out. Definitely check out all of the books that we've talked about, but this one, it was really special to be able to talk with Caitlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, friends. Well, remember to like our Instagram or follow our Instagram. Check out our Facebook, our website. We're always adding new books on there, new information. Even though we're not, always on top of things, it will be released very, very soon. You know this. Mm-hmm. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is where you'll always find all of our episodes being released. And tell a friend, because a book goes beyond its pages. Bye!